Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of CMP TV. I'm your host, Paul Lucas, the managing editor of Canadian Mortgage Professional and Mortgage Broker News. And today we're shining the spotlight on one of the newly voted top mortgage employers of 2021. Yes, earlier this year, we reached out to you, our broker audience, for feedback on the employers you work with right across the country. And this, of course, on the back of a year in which our working environments have changed more than they have in decades. One of the winners in the 101 to 500 employees category was CWB Optimum Mortgage. And today, I'm delighted to welcome the company's Vice President, Regine Roberge, to delve into some of the secrets behind having such a fantastic working environment. Regine, welcome to CMP TV. It's a huge honor to be voted as a top employer, of course. It's not often employees want to heap praise on their employers. So what do you think made CWB stand out?
Over the past year, I observed and experienced as a leader, an employee and a colleague and since the pandemic started, how both our team at Optimum, as well as our organization at CWB, is that we showed up. We showed up for our clients, for our communities, and most of all, we showed up for each other. So we lived those values those things that we say that about ourselves in an interview or on our website or on those posters that are hanging on the lunchroom wall that nobody's seeing right now. And we demonstrated integrity in our actions every day by truly living up to those words. And I think that's really what made us stand out this year as we walked the talk. We showed up.
It must all start from the beginning as well, which is hiring the right employees in the first place. Talk to us about how you attract talent to the company. Do you have certain methods of reaching out, for example, that you find are particularly effective in bringing in the right people?
And you're absolutely right. It does come down to attracting and maintaining top talent. I think our most successful method, it maybe sounds a little bit like a chicken and an egg scenario, but is through our employee referrals, which we get a lot of. We're one of Canada's top 50 employers. And, our most recent survey on that part showed that 94% of our team would recommend working for Optimum to a family or friend. In addition to that, our team is also very knowledgeable, experienced, and tenured in the mortgage industry. So a lot of times those family and friends that they're referring us to are people who have a lot of experience either in the banking or mortgage industry already. And they can confidently go to those their friends, their networks, and say, you are going to love it here. In terms of methods, I think it's really leaning on the strengths that are within our organization at CWB through our HR department, and being fully transparent with them about the things that we really look for in our employees, and that that they'll bring those recommendations to us because they're always working towards talent recruitment for the organization. So I believe in really partnering with those groups so that we can have that transparent communication, and they're always thinking of us, right? So even if I don't have a role specifically posted, they might come across through their recruitment processes in another way or for another position within the bank, and come to me and say, if you don't hire this person, I will. They're going to move mountains within your business. And I've learned the best thing you can do is listen and try to find the right role for that person to get them in the door.
Transparency is obviously very, very important indeed. But I think if we look at the mortgage industry at large right now, it has a little bit of an image problem, shall we say. Mortgage not seen as necessarily the coolest industry. So how do you persuade young people that mortgage is a career that's right for them?
I fully understand what you're saying. So my background is actually in marketing and strategic planning prior to working at CWB Optimum Mortgage. And so in doing that, I worked with different types of clients in different ways. And some of them, were perceived to be very cool organizations. compared to mortgages. And so when I get the opportunity to reconnect with past colleagues, they'll often look at me and say, "Mortgages? Really? Still?" I mean, they aren't sexy, but everyone needs one. And as an industry, they're so interesting. It's always changing and it's always evolving. It is never dull. So to address your question, I actually have to admit that I specifically don't go looking to attract young people. What I'm trying to attract are people who want to be a part of building something, and who are passionate about finding solutions to problems and delivering outstanding customer service to our clients and to our brokers. And someone's age really should not be a factor in that.
Of course, while we're talking about the industry's issues with attracting young people, there have been criticisms too, haven't there, about its ability to reach out to those with diverse backgrounds, perhaps different races, different ethnicities, and so on. How do you ensure that you get the approach to diversity and inclusion right? I mean, how do you make your outreach and interviews inclusive, and what do you do in your sort of day-to-day office life that ensures that people of different backgrounds feel comfortable there?
I don't really know if you could say you ever got it right when it comes to diversity and inclusion. And because to me that would indicate or imply that you think you've achieved an end goal and that you're happy with. I guess maybe it sounds past tense. And I don't think that's the case with inclusion and diversity. It's fluid. It's a journey, and I think we really just always have to be open to learning and admitting that we don't know everything. So maybe being on the right path on that journey is that it needs to just really be part of your belief system and truly woven into everything that you do, whether it be from interviews, or how you do strategic planning in your organization or during client meetings. So, what I believe and what we strive to create is, and what I try to contribute towards in our work environment is that all team members feel safe and empowered to bring their best selves to work. Because I think what that does is unleashes just new ideas and different perspectives, and that's where we have better connections with our clients and better results. There's just so much potential there. For my personal journey in that, I try to, like, on a day-to-day basis, what I'll try to pay attention to and practice is being aware of my personal biases, some of those unconscious ones, and how those could limit and influence my role at work and as a leader. As a best practice of mine in that is to just always be curious and commit to listening. Best practice is that I try to personally welcome and get to know each of our team members. That looks a little different now during COVID. It has to be a little bit more, planned versus informal, where you can just get to know somebody over coffee in the lunchroom. But the experience is so valuable for me, and I hope what it does is sets a tone for any of our new team members who are joining, that this is an organization where you can be yourself and share ideas and perspectives and know that you add value. In terms of, you specifically mentioned interviews, learning and practicing inclusive language principles, I think, is a necessary skill that we all should have in our recruitment efforts. One of the ways that I've been able to practice that, and you get to practice it very quickly, is by participating in some of the post-secondary career fairs on behalf of CWB, which in a virtual world feels a lot like speed dating. And suddenly there's just new people in a room, or in a virtual room like you and I are right now. But it exposes you to just many different individuals in a short period of time. And it really is a great way to practice using that inclusive language.
I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to that answer and really agreeing with it 100%. The D&I issue is never one you can just close off and think we've done a good job here. Completely agree. But of course, let's be honest here, very few of us on the bigger picture, I guess, would ever work for free. So tell us how important employee incentives and rewards are in your approach. And are there any that you think are particularly effective beyond simply offering people bigger salaries or bigger commissions?
So, of course, that's important. And so in terms of effectiveness, when I look at our total rewards package, I think the fact that we have a full benefits package plays an important part in the value that we can provide our team members. In terms of effectiveness, so when you say the word effectiveness, I think about it in a couple of ways. And I think about it in terms of our ability to achieve results for that individual employee so that they can achieve what success means to them in their life, as well as our goals and our objectives for our business, our organization. And then how can we kind of align those things together so that we're all working towards those same set of objectives. So I think your rewards and incentives need to be tied into that. And again, I come back to that word transparency, and how important that is through your performance management process. So you need to have a clear understanding of where you're going. You need to be able to articulate that to your team. And then you need to set milestones of what you're going to achieve along the way there. And then connect that to that individual's goals and their behaviors and activities that they do every day, so they can feel that sense of pride and that sense of commitment to all working together, because it is a complicated and fascinating business, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment from everybody on our team. And if we're all working towards that same goal, that's where the magic happens. So I think if we're able to tie our rewards and incentives to the achievement of those performance goals, not only do we have, like you said, the monetary incentives that are tied to that, but it's also that full team kind of satisfaction that we achieved this together, and we now can celebrate and recognize those achievements and cheer each other on.
I'm sure that you've perked a few ears, and there's going to be a few people who are wanting to know a little bit more about a career at CWB on the back of this conversation. And you've shared a lot with us today, but if you can just give us some general tips, perhaps for the industry at large, for the brokers watching today. How can they get their approach to employment right? What are sort of the key tips that you would pass on?
Well, act with integrity in everything that you do. If you say you do something, do it. And then take the time to invest in your people. And I say time because that really is something that is a resource to us and is limited. And so if you're a leader of a team, take that time and get to know your people. When those unprecedented challenges present themselves, really having that connection to your team and knowing they're committed to the same things you are, goes a really long way. And then, just live your values, whatever those values are. Make sure that you show up and you walk the talk.
ITV, everybody: integrity, time, and values. I think you've given us some excellent guidance today. Huge congratulations once again to CWB Optimum Mortgage for being a best mortgage employer. And that's what we do here, everybody. We talk to the best. So make sure you join us next time here on CMP TV.